Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Room of Requirement. My name is Megan, and I have over 25 years of occult and esoteric study and practice. And today I'm excited to bring you the history of esotericism from ancient timelines to modern teachings. I'm going to have some book recommendations for you. I'm also going to be talking about the Knights Templar, the Freemasons, and the Rosicrucians, and some of the practices like ceremonial magic, high magic, things like that that tie into all of esotericism and more advanced teachings. And so I hope you guys really enjoy this one. It's going to be a little bit lengthy. I tried to keep it as short as possible. But let's just go ahead and dive right in. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this one. I'm super passionate about it. So you're going to see me get all giddy when I'm talking about this stuff. And if this is the first time you're coming across one of my videos, welcome. I am so glad to have you here. I would really appreciate it if you guys would share this with someone who's interested. Subscribe, like the video. It really helps the channel grow. Also, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to drop those in the comments below. I love to engage with you guys. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. Okay, so introduction. Esotericism, a profound exploration of hidden or spiritual knowledge, has captivated humanity for centuries. From ancient civilizations to modern interpretations, its teachings interweave religion, mysticism, and philosophy, forming a spiritual framework that transcends cultural lines. This presentation dives deep into esotericism roots in ancient Sumeria and traces its evolution through philosophical movements, secret orders, and influential figures, including the Knights Templar, the Rosicrucians, and the Freemasons. We will also examine esoteric practices, philosophies, and the key figures who have enriched our understanding of mysticism. Esotericism in ancient civilizations, roots in ancient Sumeria. Sorry guys, I'm tongue-tied today. Esotericism's origins can be traced back to ancient Sumeria, circa 4500 to 1900 BCE. One of the earliest human civilizations, Sumerian culture placed immense importance on the divine's role in human affairs, developing cosmological narratives that served as esoteric teachings. Texts such as the Epic of Gilgamesh explored themes into immortality and the soul's journey. Temples such as the ziggurats were spiritual centers where priests practiced rituals involving astrology, offerings, and mathematical wisdom, indicating an early fusion of mysticism and science. Ancient Egypt and Hermetic wisdom. Esoteric traditions reached new heights in ancient Egypt, where the Hermetic tradition emerged around Thoth, the god of wisdom and writing. The emerald tablet, attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, or Hermes Thrice Great, you'll hear him be called that as well, encapsulates Hermetic principles such as above, so below, which continue to influence mystical and scientific thought. Egyptian mystery schools educated initiates in sacred geometry, spiritual alchemy, and the metaphysical dimensions of existence. Hieroglyphic texts and temple carvings recorded esoteric practices like meditation and the invocation of divine energies to guide the soul's evolution. Greek mysteries and philosophical foundations. Greek philosophical foundations enriched esotericism through the schools such as Pythagoreans and Eleusinian mysteries. Pythagoras introduced a mystical understanding of numbers as the building blocks of reality, while Plato emphasized the world of forms as the true spiritual domain. The Eleusinian mysteries, rites dedicated to Demeter and Persephone, symbolized the soul's renewal and emphasized the journey from ignorance to enlightenment. Greek thinkers blended rational inquiry with mystical insight, laying the groundwork for Western esotericism as it is today. Esoteric philosophies and practices. Kabbalah, the Jewish mystical tradition. Kabbalah, rooted in Jewish spiritual traditions, emerged in the Middle Ages, but draws on ancient wisdom. The core text, the Zohar, offers a mystical interpretation of the Torah, revealing the hidden structure of the universe through the tree of life. Kabbalistic practices, including meditative techniques and the study of divine emanations or sephiro, aimed to bring practitioners close to divine unity. Figures like Isaac Luria revolutionized Kabbalistic thought with concepts of the Tikkun Olam, which is repairing the world, and the soul's reincarnation. Alchemy, the science of transformation. Alchemy, often seen as a precursor to modern chemistry, is deeply rooted in esoteric traditions. Beyond the pursuit of turning lead into gold, alchemy symbolizes inner transformation. In the texts like the Rosarium Philosophorium, the stages of alchemical work: negredo, which means blackening; albedo, which means whitening; and rubedo, which means reddening. So this is the actual physical alchemical processes of breaking down different materials or essences. They are metaphors for the soul's evolution. Figures like Paracelsus and Nicholas Flamel contributed significantly, blending mystical insights with practical experiments. Ritual, magic, and self-realization. Esoteric rituals serve as a bridge between the physical and the spiritual realms. Practices such as ceremonial magic, scrying, and invocations are designed to align the practitioner with higher energies. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, founded in the late 19th century, exemplified the structured use of rituals to achieve spiritual enlightenment. Members like Aleister Crowley and Dion Fortune advanced techniques that incorporated meditation, astrology, and visualization, emphasizing the role of self-realization in esoteric traditions. The rise of secret orders, the Knights Templar. So what I want to impart on you now is how the Freemasons and Rosicrucians came into play. So you had the Knights Templar, which was founded in 1119 CE. They eventually had to go underground. They were known as warrior monks. It's a little bit of a misnomer. They were actually archaeologists, and they were digging underground for sacred relics, okay? And so that was their main purpose, because they always say the original Knights Templar was 9 men, and 9 men cannot protect thousands of pilgrims trying to come back to the Holy Land of Jerusalem. So there were a lot of different things going on at that time, and things that were going on underground by the Knights Templar. They were basically trying to preserve the ancient knowledge and these ancient relics that they were looking for, okay? But they did split off, okay? So beyond their known role in the Crusades, they were rumored to have uncovered esoteric knowledge, including sacred geometry and relics like the Holy Grail. Key figures such as Hugh de Paynes and Jacques de Molay shaped the order's practices, which reportedly involved secret rituals and alchemical teachings. Their disbandment in 1312 fueled speculation about their hidden knowledge and the influence on later esoteric groups. So that's what I was getting at when the Rosicrucians and the Freemasons split off from them, because they had to take different names so that they wouldn't be caught, because they were persecuted during that time because of the Catholic Pope at the time. Okay, so key figures in the Knights Templar. There was Hugh de Paynes from 1070 to 1136. The founding Grand Master of the Knights Templar, Hugh de Paynes established the order alongside 8 other knights and laid the foundations for the organizational structure and spiritual mission. Under his leadership, the Templars gained recognition and support from the influential figures, including King Baldwin II of Jerusalem and Pope Honorius II. Hughes played a pivotal role in securing the papal endorsement of the Templars, this is the Catholics, granting them autonomy from local clergy and bolstering their spiritual and military influence. Bernard de Clairvaux, 1090 to 1153. Though not a Templar knight, Bernard de Clairvaux was instrumental in shaping the theological and spiritual framework of the order. A prominent Cistercian monk and mystic, Bernard authored the Rule of the Templars, which emphasized their dual role as monks and warriors. His writings and advocacy helped elevate the Templars' reputation within Christendom, aligning their mission with the ideals of piety, humility, and divine service. Robert de Craon, No birth date, but ended in 1147. The second Grand Master of the Knights Templar. Crayon succeeded Hugh de Paynes and expanded the order's influence across Europe. He worked to solidify the Templars' financial infrastructure, introducing innovations such as letters of credit that transformed the order into one of the medieval Europe's most sophisticated financial institutions. So this is where we get the Swiss banking system. His tenure marked a period of growth and consolidation for the Templars. Jacques de Molay, 1243 to 1314. The last Grand Master of the Knights Templar, Jacques de Molay, oversaw the order during its most tumultuous period. He defended the Templars against accusations of heresy and corruption, standing firm in the face of persecution by King Philip of France. De Molay's tragic execution in 1314 marked the end of the Templars' prominence, but solidified their legacy as martyrs of the esoteric and spiritual traditions. So this is where we get the whole Friday the 13th being unlucky. Geoffroy de Charny, a devoted knight and key figure in the Templar hierarchy. Geoffroy de Charny served as preceptor of Normandy and played a critical role in maintaining the order's integrity during its final years. He was executed alongside de Molay, and his unwavering loyalty exemplified the Templar ideals of courage and faith. The current Knights Templar, Timothy Hogan. If you guys have not checked out his work, I highly suggest it. When I came across him, I was blown away by the information that he was divulging about the secret order of the Knights Templar. I was just kind of blown away, but I figured what was going on was everything was starting to come to light, about the stuff that's beneath the pyramids, UFOs, all of these different ancient sites, sacred sites, all of this information is starting to come out. So I was in shock that he was talking about all this, but at the same time, I wasn't surprised because it is time for everything to start coming to light in this new shift that we are participating in at the current time. Okay, so Timothy Hogan, as a current Grand Master of the Knights Templar, he emphasizes the spiritual and esoteric dimensions of the order. He advocates for the integration of ancient wisdom and modern practices, exploring concepts of sacred geometry, alchemical transformation, and the balance between material and spiritual realms. Hogan's work seeks to preserve the Templars' legacy while adapting their teachings for contemporary seekers. And he also accepts women in the order, unlike the Freemasons, which I found interesting. The Rosicrucians. The Rosicrucians, emerging in the 17th century, claimed to possess ancient wisdom synthesizing religion, scientific, and mystical insights. Their manifestos, like the Fama Fraternitatis, invited seekers to join a spiritual revolution. Esoteric symbols, such as the Rose Cross, depict the unity of material and spiritual realms. Figures like Robert Flood from 1574 to 1637 were instrumental in blending Rosicrucian ideals with the Hermetic and alchemical philosophies. So, some books here I have for you guys to check out if you're interested in all of this. One is the Rosicrucian Mysteries by Max Heindel. Definitely check this out. This one is, there are only 777 copies in the world of the Rosicrucian Manifestos. I was super lucky enough to come across this at a rare bookstore, and I went ahead and purchased it. I'm highly fascinated with the Knights Templar and the Rosicrucians. And so if you cannot find these, some of these are rare books. I realize that they're going to be harder to find. They're still out there. But if you will visit archive.org, a lot of these codices and manuscripts are up on their website for you to read in PDF form. So I highly recommend that if you so choose. This gem that I found is the Codex Rosicrucius. This is one of the most comprehensive symbolic books. It's got pages and pages and pages of alchemical symbolism, zodiacal symbolism, all kinds of wonderful maps that actually fold out of the book. This one's absolutely fantastic. So if you can get a hold of a copy of a PDF of this one or the copy itself, I highly recommend that as well. Okay. Um, so they're manifestos. Oh my gosh, manifestos. Wow, guys, sorry. Like the Fama Fraternitatis, invited seekers to join a spiritual revolution. Esoteric symbols such as the rose and cross depict the unity of material and spiritual realms. Figures like Robert Flood were instrumental in blending Rosicrucian ideals with Hermetic and alchemical philosophies. The Rosicrucian Order, a journey through time and mysticism. The Rosicrucian Order, shrouded in mystery and steeped in esotericism, has captivated the imagination of scholars, mystics, and seekers for centuries. Emerging in the early 17th century, an enigmatic movement has been associated with spiritual enlightenment, philosophical inquiry, and alchemical wisdom. While their origins remain a subject of debate, the Rosicrucian Order has left an indelible mark on Western esotericism through its teachings, practices, and influence on other mystical traditions. The origins of the Rosicrucian Order. The Fama Fraternitatis and the early texts. The Rosicrucian Order first came to public attention in the early 17th century with the publication of 3 mysterious manifestos: the Fama Fraternitatis in 1614, the Confessio Fraternitatis in 1615, and the Chemical Wedding of Christian Rosencroix in 1617. These texts describe a secret brotherhood devoted to the pursuit of spiritual wisdom and the betterment of humanity. Central to the narrative was the figure of Christian Rosencroix, a mythical figure who was said to have traveled through the Middle East and North Africa, gaining esoteric wisdom before establishing the order. The myth of Christian Rosencroix, Christian Rosencroix, whose name translates to Christian of the Rosy Cross, is a symbolic figurehead of the Rosicrucian movement. According to the manifestos, he lived in the 15th century and founded the order to preserve and disseminate ancient wisdom. However, most scholars agree that Rosencroix is likely a fictional character serving as an allegorical representation of the ideals and teachings of the order. Historical context. The emergence of the Rosicrucian manifestos coincided with the period of significant intellectual and spiritual upheaval in Europe. The Renaissance, with its revival of classical learning and humanist ideals, had given rise to renewed interest in alchemy, astrology, and Hermeticism. Additionally, the Protestant Reformation had fragmented the religious landscape, creating an environment ripe for alternative spiritual movements. The esoteric teachings of the Rosicrucian Order. Their main teachings are sacred geometry and alchemy. Alchemy, both as a physical and spiritual practice, is central to Rosicrucian teachings. While the transmutation of base metals into gold is often the most recognized aspect of alchemy, the Rosicrucians viewed this as a metaphor for inner transformation and enlightenment. They sought to purify the soul and achieve a higher state of consciousness, often described as the attainment of the philosopher's stone. The esoteric teachings of the Rosicrucian Order, Hermetic philosophy. The Rosicrucians drew heavily on Hermeticism, a philosophical and spiritual tradition based on the writings attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, or you'll also hear it pronounced as Hermes Thrice Great. This tradition emphasized the interconnectedness of the macrocosm, the universe, and the microcosm, the individual, as well as the pursuit of divine knowledge through meditation and mystical insight. Numerology and sacred geometry. Numerology and sacred geometry played a significant role in Rosicrucian symbolism and teachings. The order believed that numbers and geometric patterns held the key to understanding the divine order of the universe. This belief is reflected in their use of the rose and cross symbols, which represent the union of spiritual and material realms. Healing and the mystical sciences. The Rosicrucians were also reputed to possess advanced knowledge of healing and the natural sciences. They believed that spiritual enlightenment was inseparable from the physical well-being and sought to harmonize the body, mind, and spirit through various practices, including herbal medicine and energy work. Key figures of the Rosicrucian tradition. Johann Valentin Andreae. He was a Lutheran theologian and writer, is often credited with authoring the Rosicrucian manifestos, while Andreae later dismissed the manifestos as a ludibrium, a playful jest. His involvement remains a topic of debate among scholars. Francis Bacon. Some researchers have researchers have speculated that Francis Bacon, the English philosopher and statesman, was connected to the Rosicrucian order. Bacon's works, which emphasize the advancement of knowledge through the betterment of society, resonate with Rosicrucian ideals, though concrete evidence of his involvement is lacking. Robert Fludd. He was an English physician and mystic, was a prominent figure associated with Rosicrucianism. His writings of alchemy, astrology, and Kabbalah reflect the esoteric themes central to the Rosicrucian tradition. The Rosicrucian order in modern times, the revival of the 19th century. The 19th century saw a resurgence of interest in Rosicrucianism, as with a lot of other different orders, and then new orders were formed during this time as well. That's where you get Aleister Crowley and Dion Fortune, Manly P. Hall, Rudolf Steiner. All of those guys brought this stuff back into play from the Renaissance era. So the 19th century saw a resurgence of interest in Rosicrucianism, fueled by the Romantic movements, fascinated with mysticism and the occult. Various organizations claiming to be the heirs of the original Rosicrucian order were established, including the Societas Rosicruciana in Anglia and the ancient order Rosicrucius, or AMORC. So you can go online and you can check out the AMORC website. I'm personally a part of that. It's really easy to find. They don't charge that much per month, and they take you through a whole syllabus of learning with all kinds of resources and everything. So if you're interested in going down the Christian mystic path, this would be good for you. So AMORC and contemporary Rosicrucianism. The ancient mystical order Rosicrucius, founded in the early 20th century, is one of the most prominent modern Rosicrucian organizations. Based in San Jose, California, AMORC offers courses in metaphysics, mysticism, and esoteric sciences to members worldwide. While it draws inspiration from the original Rosicrucian manifestos, AMORC has adapted its teachings to align with contemporary spiritual practices. Influence in popular culture. The Rosicrucian order has had a long-lasting impact on literature, art, and popular culture, from the works of Goethe and William Blake to the symbolism in modern films and novels. These themes of spiritual awakening and hidden knowledge associated with Rosicrucianism continue to inspire creative expression. The Rosicrucian order remains a fascinating and enigmatic chapter in the history of Western esotericism. From its mysterious beginnings in the 17th century to its modern incarnations, the order has consistently emphasized the pursuit of wisdom, the transformation of the self, and the betterment of humanity. Whether viewed as a historical curiosity, a spiritual philosophy, or a living tradition, the Rosicrucian order continues to intrigue and inspire those who seek to uncover the mysteries of existence. Okay, so now we're going to get into the Freemasons. So there are three main rites. You have the Scottish, York, and the Swedish rite. So I have a copy of Morals and Dogma. So I am in the South, and I came across this in the South. So I have the Scottish rite version and the Southern jurisdiction version. So Morals and Dogma, if you're wanting to take a deep dive into Freemasons and their doctrine, this book right here, this big old brick, this will explain it in depth, exactly the different degrees of Freemasonry, what they're about, their belief systems, all of these things. This book in particular is given to every Freemason when they join the order, and it is meant for them to study and pass. Okay. So Freemasonry, originating in the 16th century, utilized symbolic rituals to promote moral and spiritual development. Its degrees of initiation represent stages of enlightenment, with symbols like the square and compass reflecting universal truths. Albert Pike, a key figure in modern Masonry, explored esoteric dimensions in his seminal work, Morals and Dogma. Freemasonry's influence on culture and mysticism remains significant, attracting luminaries from politics to the arts. So the Freemasons kind of get a bad rap, and it's understandably so. Over time, it's become diluted and watered down and used for their own I guess you would say, egoic purposes in a negative way, but that's not what the order was designed for in the first place. And so if you can just kind of push all of that aside and then study the core teachings, they're going to make a lot more sense. There's no reason to be afraid of them. So the Freemasons, guardians of esoteric wisdom and mystery schools. The Freemasons have long been an enigmatic and influential fraternity steeped in rituals, symbolism, and commitment to self-improvement and brotherhood. Their practices, tied to esoteric wisdom and connections to mystery schools, have fascinated scholars, conspiracy theorists, and the general public for centuries. This presentation delves into the origins, practices, philosophy, and prominent figures in Freemasonry, highlighting their contributions to esoteric teachings and their historical timeline up to the present day. The origins of Freemasonry. Freemasonry, as it is known today, traces its roots back to stonemasons' guild in the Middle Ages of Europe. These guilds were responsible for constructing cathedrals and other significant architectural wonders, requiring both technical expertise and deep symbolic understanding. By the late 16th and early 17th centuries, these operative masons began admitting non-stonemasons or speculative masons into their lodges. The shift marked the beginning of Freemason and philosophical and fraternal organization. The formation of the Grand Lodge. The official foundation of the modern Freemasonry occurred in 1717 with the establishment of the Grand Lodge of England in London. These monumentous event unified several smaller lodges until a central authority formalizing rituals and expanding the fraternity's influence. Esoteric practices and philosophy. Freemasonry is deeply entwined with esoteric tradition and mystery schools, drawing on ancient wisdom from various cultures, including Egyptian, Greek, and Hebrew traditions. Its rituals and symbols, such as the compass, the square, and the all-seeing eye, are laden with layer meanings that encourage reflection on moral, spiritual, and philosophical themes. Initiation and degrees. The Masonic journey is divided into 3 primary degrees: entered apprentice, fellow craft, and master mason. Each degree involves intricate ceremonies and allegorical teachings designed to guide members towards enlightenment and self-improvement. Connection to mystery schools. Freemasonry rituals and teachings resonate with the traditions of the ancient mystery schools, such as those of Pythagoras, the Hermetic tradition of Egypt, and Kabbalah. These schools emphasize the pursuit of hidden knowledge, spiritual awakening, and the connection between humanity and the divine. Historical timeline of Freemasonry. 1390. The Regius poem, one of the earliest Masonic scripts, is written outlining the principles of the craft. 1717. Formation of the Grand Lodge of England, marking the beginning of modern Freemasonry. 1723. The publication of the Constitutions of the Freemasons by James Anderson, defining the fraternity's rules and philosophy. 1730s to 1750s. Expansion of Freemasonry across Europe and the Americas. 1789. Freemasonry plays a significant role in political thought during the Enlightenment of the French Revolution. 1800s, emergence of additional Masonic rites such as the Scottish Rite and York Rite. 20th century, Freemasonry faces challenges including suppression by totalitarian regimes and criticism from some religious groups. 21st century, Freemasonry embraces transparency and community involvement, adapting to modern challenges while preserving its traditions. Some key figures and their contributions to esoteric teachings. Albert Pike, 1809 to 1891, is a prominent Freemason from the author of Morals and Dogma of the Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. So that's what that book I showed you, he is the one who wrote that. His work delves into the esoteric meanings of Masonic symbols and rituals, linking them to broader philosophical and spiritual concepts. Manly P. Hall. So Manly P. Hall is the one who wrote this awesome book that eventually you will come across. It is called The Secret Teachings of All Ages. The original copy was gigantic. It is so huge. I've seen one that is probably about 8 times as big as this one. And it takes up an entire like table, one of those little 4x4 tables when you pull it out and read it. I had the privilege of seeing one of those copies that was really, really big. And so they just kind of squeeze it down. That's why this one is fairly thick. But Manly P. Hall is a big player in all of these movements during this time period, late 1800s, early 1900s. So I would highly recommend reading this book. It is absolutely fantastic. Okay. So although not a Mason initially, he was later honored by the fraternity. His seminal work, The Secret Teaching of All Ages, explores the esoteric traditions underpinning Freemasonry and mystical systems. Hiram Abif, a legendary figure in Masonic lore. He is central to the Master Mason degree, symbolizing integrity, sacrifice, and the pursuit of truth. His story serves as a cornerstone of Masonic teachings. Dr. James Anderson. Anderson authored the 1723 Constitutions of the Freemasons, which codified the fraternity's rules and principles and established the foundation for modern Freemasonry. Freemasonry in the modern era. Today, Freemasonry continues to thrive as a global fraternity with millions of members across diverse cultures and nations. While it has faced criticism and decline in membership in some regions, it remains committed to its core values of charity, brotherhood, and personal growth. Modern Freemasons are increasingly active in community service and philanthropy, aiming to dispel myths and foster understanding. The Freemasons represent a unique blend of ancient wisdom, ritual, and fraternal connection that has captivated imaginations for centuries. Their ties to esoteric teachings and mystery schools highlight their enduring relevance in the quest for self-improvement and enlightenment. As they adapt to contemporary challenges, the Freemasons continue to embody the timeless pursuit of knowledge and virtue. Noble modern esoteric orders and mystery schools. The Builders of Adam, also known as Boda. The Builders of Adam is a prominent modern esoteric school dedicated to the study of tarot, Kabbalah, and alchemical symbolism. Boda offers a structured correspondence course guiding practitioners through esoteric knowledge aimed at spiritual awakening. Modern mystery schools. The International Modern Mystery School and its affiliates provide training in metaphysical techniques, energy healing, and rituals derived from ancient traditions like Hermeticism and shamanism. These schools aim to empower individuals to align with the universal energies and unlock their hidden potential. Noble modern esoteric orders and mystery schools. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, established in the 19th century, is one of the most influential modern esoteric orders. Rooted in Hermeticism, Kabbalah, and ceremonial magic, the Golden Dawn has inspired countless spiritual movements. Its structured degree system and comprehensive teachings in mysticism, divination, and alchemical processes continue to influence modern esoteric thought. Noble modern esoteric schools and mystery schools. The Anthroposophical Society, founded by Rudolf Steiner. So Rudolf Steiner is another big hitter. He has created volumes and volumes and volumes, and he was only in his early 20s when he did this, of esoteric works. He spent hours and hours and hours in libraries compiling all of this information. At one time, he had the largest esoteric library at his time. So founded by Rudolf Steiner in the 20th century, the society integrates esoteric Christianity, philosophy, and natural sciences. It emphasizes the spiritual evolution of humanity and the cosmos, fostering practices such as biodynamic agriculture and Waldorf education. So here we have one of his many, many, many books. I highly recommend this one. It is The Outline of Occult Science. Absolutely fantastic. Please check out Rudolf Steiner's work. It'll blow your wig off. Okay. Modern Esotericism and Influential Figures. Manly P. Hall, The Secret Teaching of All Ages, synthesizes esoteric traditions from Hermeticism to Freemasonry. His extensive lectures and writings emphasize personal transformation and the pursuit of wisdom. Hall advocated for the integration of ancient teachings into modern life as a means of self-improvement and spiritual awakening. Core practices and teachings. Modern esoteric orders and mystery schools integrate a variety of disciplines to guide their adherents on a transformative journey. So here are some of those. Meditation and visualization, techniques to cultivate mindfulness and access higher states of consciousness. Ritual and ceremony, structured practices that connect practitioners with archetypal energies and universal truths. Astrology and divination, tools for understanding cosmic patterns and their influence on human life. Alchemy, both a physical and spiritual process of transformation, symbolizing the refinement of the self. Myth and archetype, exploration of mythological narratives and the psychological significance. Rudolf Steiner. Rudolf Steiner's anthropophagy. I'm probably butchering that. I so apologize to you guys. That's a big one for me. Bridges esoteric philosophy and practical applications such as the Waldorf education and biodynamic farming. Steiner's spiritual experiences emphasize inner perception and meditative practices, offers tools for achieving higher consciousness. His vision of human evolution intertwines science, art, and spirituality, making his work a cornerstone of modern esotericism. Carl Jung and psychology and alchemy. If you have not studied Carl Jung's psychology, just the intro to psychology, this is going to help you tremendously understand these things, because that goes into shadow work, the ego, all of those different things, the higher self, the id. I highly, highly, highly recommend that. It's going to make it so much easier to understand symbolism and archetypal symbolism as you're going along on your path. It's going to make it easier for you to understand a lot of these higher advanced esoteric teachings. So Carl Jung's concept of individuation and the collective unconscious resonate deeply with esoteric traditions. His exploration of alchemical symbolism and psychological terms offer a modern framework for understanding ancient wisdom. Jung writes, such as, quote, psychology and alchemy, end quote, demonstrate the transformative potential of integrating the conscious and the unconscious mind. Implementing esoteric teachings today. Esoteric principles inspire contemporary practices like mindfulness, energy healing, and sacred geometry. By engaging with ancient texts and rituals, individuals can cultivate self-awareness and harmony with universal laws. Modern esoteric organizations and spiritual communities carry forward these teachings, fostering a deeper connection to the cosmos and the self. Challenges and misconceptions. Despite their contributions, modern esoteric orders face challenges, including misconceptions about secrecy and elitism. Critics often misunderstand their purpose, viewing them as obscure or irrelevant. However, these organizations insist that their secrecy is not about the exclusion, but about preserving the integrity of their teachings. Another challenge is the adaptation of ancient practices into contemporary context. Balancing tradition and innovation requires careful thought to ensure that the teachings remain relevant and accessible. People always fear what they do not understand, and so if someone wants to have just a casual conversation about esotericism and all of these deep concepts, you cannot explain these things in one conversation. And so that's why, another reason why it's avoided, because someone who doesn't have a foundational background, even in the metaphysical for one, it's going to make them very hard. It's going to make it very hard for them to understand and wrap their mind around these highly spiritual concepts that may be a little bit too advanced in. And like I said, everyone always fears the unknown. So that's why the secrecy is, because it takes years and years and years and years to study all of this stuff, and just having one single conversation with someone, it's going to be really hard to get them to understand where you're coming from. Okay. So in conclusion, the history of esotericism is a rich tapestry of philosophies, practices, and visionary figures. From the ziggurats of Samaria to the teachings of Rudolf Steiner, these traditions have guided humanity's spiritual evolution. By studying and applying their wisdom, we continue to uncover pathways to enlightenment, self-realization, and universal harmony. Modern esoteric orders and mystery schools serve as custodians of humanity's spiritual heritage, bridging the ancient and the contemporary. They invite seekers to explore the depths of their inner worlds, offering tools and teachings for personal transformation and universal understanding. In a world increasingly dominated by materialism, these esoteric traditions remind us of the mysteries that lie beyond the surface, waiting to be discovered by those who dare to seek. Okay, you guys, I hope you really enjoyed this one. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them down below. Also, if you're interested in any kind of mentor service, I am a mentor. All of my links are in my bio. So if you guys are interested in working with me or you have any questions, my email is also there. Please don't hesitate to get a hold of me. I would love to help you. The next video that I'm going to do is dream interpretation. So I'm really excited about that. I'm also going to be offering that as a service too on my Calendly page, my booking page. Because over the years, I've gained a lot of knowledge in symbology and a lot of work. I studied a lot of Carl Jung's work and work in psychology and symbolism. So I'm able to do some really in-depth dream interpretation. So I'm going to be doing a video on dream interpretation, and I'm going to start offering that as a service. So if you guys are interested, please let me know. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye.